morning, everyone, and welcome to our deep dive for this morning, January 11th.
Yeah, it's a new year, new us.
Well, maybe not new us, but definitely a new chance to reflect. And what better way to start the day than with a little bit of reflection?
Exactly, and that's why we're diving into this devotional excerpt today.
Yeah, and it's centered around a powerful verse from Psalms, chapter 23, verse 1.
One of the most well-known ones, I'd say.
Absolutely. It's, "The Lord is my shepherd, I lack nothing."
So simple yet.
So profound, right?
Yeah, just those few words pack in so much meaning, and I think it's a great way to sort of like set the tone for the day, and especially for this whole year.
Yeah.
We're just getting started, and it's just a nice reminder that we're not alone.
Absolutely. And I mean, when you hear that phrase, "the Lord is my shepherd," like, what kind of imagery or feelings does that bring up for you?
Hmm. Well, I'll be honest, the first thing that pops into my head is one of those like classic nativity scenes, like the ones with the fluffy sheep and the kind of idealized shepherds with their staffs.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I can see that. But then I have to remind myself that being a shepherd back then was no walk in the park, right?
Oh, yeah. Definitely not a romanticized profession. In biblical times, shepherds had it rough. I mean, they were out there in the elements day and night protecting their sheep from wild animals, thieves, all sorts of dangers.
Wow. So really being responsible for the well-being of these creatures.
Exactly. They had to know the land like the back of their hand where to find the best grazing spots, water sources,
Wow.
even carrying injured sheep on their shoulders, sometimes pretty demanding.
So when the psalmist says, "The Lord is my shepherd," it takes on a whole new meaning, right? Like it's not just about this peaceful, idyllic setting.
It's about complete trust and reliance on God's care and guidance, even in the face of real and present danger.
Yeah, like whatever comes our way, we know we have someone watching over us.
Someone who knows the way even when we don't, someone who's got our backs.
And then that leads us to this idea of provision. The verse says, "I lack nothing." But the devotional makes an important distinction between what we need and what we want.
Yeah, that's a big one, right? Because we live in a world that constantly tells us we need more stuff, more experiences, more everything.
It's like this constant barrage of messages telling us we're not enough unless we have this or that.
Exactly, and it can be so easy to get caught up in that cycle, but this verse encourages us to pause and really discern, what are our true needs versus just fleeting desires.
And how do we know the difference, right?
Well, it's a process. It's about getting quiet and listening to that inner voice. And honestly, sometimes it's about learning from our mistakes, realizing that that thing we thought we absolutely had to have didn't actually bring us any lasting happiness.
Yeah, I've definitely been there.
You too. But the more we can align our wants with what we truly need, the more peace and contentment we find.
I love that. And it makes me think about how viewing God as our shepherd can completely change our perspective on this whole idea of needs versus wants.
Absolutely, because instead of always striving for more, we can focus on cultivating gratitude for what we already have.
And trusting that God will provide what is truly necessary.
Exactly. The devotional even suggests taking a moment to reflect on how God has provided for us recently, even in small ways.
You know what? Even just this morning, I was running super late and couldn't find my keys anywhere.
Oh, I hate when that happens.
It was like a mini crisis.
I bet.
And then just when I was about to give up, I looked down and there they were, right on the kitchen counter, plain as day.
Sometimes it's the simplest things.
It really is. But in that moment, I felt this overwhelming sense of relief and gratitude. Like, even in the midst of my own chaos, God was looking out for me.
That's a perfect example. It's about recognizing those little nudges, those moments where God shows up in unexpected ways.
Like those tiny miracles that remind us we're not alone.
Exactly. And it brings us to the prayer at the end of the devotional. It's a beautiful expression of thanks and surrender to God's will. But remember, prayer is a dialogue, not a monologue.
So we can personalize it, right?
Yeah.
Make it our own.
Absolutely. Take a moment. What are you specifically grateful for today? What guidance do you need from your shepherd as you go through this day?
I love that. And as we wrap up, let's carry this image of the shepherd with us throughout the day, knowing we are loved, guided, and provided for.
And I'll leave you with this thought. How does viewing God as your shepherd change your perspective on the challenges and opportunities that this year holds?
Something to ponder as we go about our day. Thanks for joining us for this morning's deep dive.
And until next time, blessings to you all.